Hello, Giants fans. Hang on one second. I just realized that my earphones are not hooked up. Sorry, it's late at night. It's 1:30. Tired. Hopefully, you can hear me better now that my earphones are hooked up. Giants fans, it is 1:30 in the morning, Friday morning, and we've all probably just seen the Giants-Washington game. And so I wanted to offer a therapy session because I know a lot of people are upset. You have every right to be upset. However, I'm not someone who, if you watch other YouTubers, people that I watch a lot of Giants YouTubers, they're not happy right now. Understandable. Some of them are blowing up right now. If you're kind of tired of hearing that stuff, even though all that, the anger, the angst, the depression, it's all it's all well founded. It's okay. It's okay to feel that way. I don't feel that way myself. So I wanted to come on here and offer somewhat of a happier perspective, if you will. I'm not a Kool-Aid drinker, but me myself, I do try to take a 40,000-foot view of these things. And so I wanted to come on here and give my view. And that is that I feel a lot better after this game than the last game. Um, and I'm going to talk about the other game, a little later, or I'll weave it through my story. What I'm to want to talk about right now with this game two against Washington. So I will talk about the Denver loss as well, but let's focus on the Washington game right now. Here's what I'm encouraged about. And no, I'm done with moral victories. We're past moral victories. No more time for moral victories. But I felt a lot better about this game, okay, because they went into Washington, and which was going to be a tough battle. It's divisional. It's a divisional game. Those games are always they're usually the toughest, and they were it was going to be tough, but I felt like they were going to play well, and the offense showed up. Okay, this was a game. This is what I feel better about, was that this is a game the Giants actually should have won if it were not for mental mistakes. And it was the mental mistakes that did them in. And I'm not saying that they would have blown, Washington away or anything like that. Not at all. But the Giants should have won that game when they had every reason to not win that game. Going into Washington, Washington was playing their young quarterback Heineke, and he did a great job. Kudos to him. But the Giants, anyone who watched that game, you saw the Giants lost because of mental mistakes. And I think those are actually easier to clean up than trying to groom talent. And so I was very happy about that. So again, they should have won the game. Point number two, what this season's all about for me. Um, I didn't have playoff expectations coming into the season. I think coming into the season, I saw the Giants as a team that could compete and should compete for a playoff spot. Um, but I was more focused on getting to 9 wins, getting above that 500 hump for the first time in a long time, and just having a winning season. And if they happen to make the playoffs as a 9-8 team, great. My focus was coming into the season was getting to 9 wins, and I also was counting on the Giants winning last week against Denver and this week against Washington as well. Those games were counted into my hopes about them getting to 9 wins. So that definitely takes a blow, but I don't feel like the season's over yet in that regard. I still think they can get to a winning record, and I still think that they can compete for a playoff spot down the road. It's going to be tougher. It's going to be tougher, obviously, but that's not my main concern. My main concern again is getting to 9 wins, but um, for the team. But my main focus is I want to see Daniel Jones, what he can do, with real talent around him in terms of Sterling Shepard is healthy right now. Saquon is back. Um, I'll get into Saquon a little bit in terms of how much we should expect this season. But he is on the field, and they have Galladay, who he didn't have a great game. He had a few key drops, so they weren't all on him. Some of the throws by Jones could have been better, but there was definitely one key drop that he had that it was beautiful placement. It was right in his hands, and he should have had it, and he didn't. But I like to see that Galladay's coming around. He has more targets. The offense put up points. The offense put up what was the final again? I've got the ESPN scoreboard up here. So they put up 29 points, and it should have been at least 34. There's probably at least one other touchdown out there. would have been 4 additional points, where would have put the Giants over the top. Whether there was the holding penalty on C.J. Ford, and I don't even like that guy anyway. It annoys me that he's on the team. But holding penalty by C.J. Ford that that called back a Daniel Jones rushing touchdown. I think the second one of the game, and then there was the pass to Darius Slayton as well, which could have been caught. I knew as soon as Slayton dropped that pass, or as soon as he didn't catch it, I should say, I knew Giants fans were going to be blowing up about Darius Slayton. In my opinion, that was actually Daniel Jones's fault, and I'm a Daniel Jones defender. That pass, Darius Slayton was wide open. There was not another player like 10 yards near him. And Daniel Jones throws a very good deep ball, very accurate and very catchable. And that should have been a better pass. And there was no reason for it not to be. I think he was under a little pressure at the time. Should have been a better pass. Darius Slayton was as stretched out as you could possibly be. The only other thing he could have done was lay out for the ball completely, where his body is vertical to the ground. That's the only thing he could have. The only other thing he could have done. Other than that, he was fully stretched out. The ball was basically like in his fingertips. It was not easy. It should have been a better throw by Daniel, in my opinion. So I know people are slamming Slayton, but I think you're slamming the wrong person. And I'm not slamming Daniel Jones because he had a great game. And that's been my focus. That's my focus right now, is that the Giants drafted a quarterback a few years ago with the number 6 overall pick, and that guy's been getting hammered from day one. I think oftentimes, for the most time, unfairly, because this is a guy who was parachuted into a team that was being rebuilt. He's never had a lot of talent. He's got more talent now, don't get me wrong, in terms of receivers and weapons overall. He's got more talent now than he's ever had. But this guy was parachuted onto the Giants, a team that was rebuilding that for a long time has been very devoid of talent. And he's been asked to do everything basically. And he's been given zero room for error. Now you could do more of that when you're rebuilding a team with like a veteran quarterback, but a guy who's trying to learn his way through the NFL on his, as it is, and you're asking him to not make any mistakes whatsoever. So when he does make a mistake, it gets magnified. Like last week's horrible play by him, that interception was ridiculous. His situational awareness needs to improve. The thing is that I don't think he's stupid at all. He came into the NFL being touted for his NFL IQ, and I believe it and I see it. And yeah, I know. I'm not excusing him for that interception last week. The situational awareness, there was no reason for that. There was no reason for not the interception, the fumble, excuse me, the fumble. He was trying to make it was still 5 minutes left in the third quarter, and it was like first down, and he was basically trying to make it to the first down marker, I guess, even though it was first down. And he didn't have to do that. And he should have just slid. He didn't. He went forward, ball got knocked out. He had two hands on it, tucked away. It was horrible. That was dumb. But my point about that was that he didn't have any interceptions. So he had that one fumble, and that was the big mistake. And the thing is that there is no room for mistakes throughout this guy's career, and it's completely ridiculous. And another thing about that game in Denver is when you think about this, and people complain about Daniel Jones and that play, and it was on him. That was stupid. But think about this. The game was 17-7. It was still a game. It was only down by 10 points. He had plenty of time. 5 minutes left in the third quarter last week when that fumble happened. So there was plenty of time. But think about this. 5 minutes left in the third quarter, and you only had 7 points on the scoreboard. Okay? That's a friggin' problem. And you only wound up with 13 points because that last touchdown was garbage time, or 14 points, whatever it was. The last touchdown, that was legitimate garbage time touchdown. The game was well over at that point. So five minutes left in the third quarter, and you only had 7 points. Okay. And that wasn't Daniel Jones's fault. He had some bad passes, whatever, but no one else was really doing much except for Sterling Shepard. You've got Saquon Barkley, who, when the guy was healthy, his rookie year, was like Christian McCaffrey. The guy was phenomenal. I think the guy even had 91 receptions as a running back his rookie year. He had an historically great year for a rookie. Saquon Barkley did. And but the second year, which is Daniel Jones's rookie year, got a comment over here. Classified. Hey, Joel. Hey, Joel, if you want to come on in, I'll send you an invite if you'd like. Come on in. I'm not good at talking and typing at the same time. It's up to you, Joel. You don't have to come on in if you want to, but I'm offering. I'd love to have you come on in if you want. I didn't think anyone else would be awake. But yeah, if you want to come on in, Joel, just let me know here in the chat, and I'll send you a link, my friend. But Daniel Jones has had no room for error at all, and the mistake that he made last week, was magnified because there's no room for error. And so that's a point about that. Me myself, I am a Daniel Jones defender. I do believe in him. I do believe in this guy, but he needs to be given a legitimate shot. And being given a legitimate shot means being given decent weapons. Okay, Joel's going to come on in. Joel and I did the Jim Fossil remembrance video a few months ago, and he's a big Giants fan like me. Joel, hang in there for 1 second. I got to sign into Twitter, and I'm going to send you the link, buddy. Anyone who's watching this live right now, or if you're watching this, if you're going to watch it tomorrow, sorry, just bear with me for 1 second. I'm going to sign into Twitter. And I'm going to send Joel the link. And we'll get Joel in here. I wish I had some elevator music to play right now for you guys who watch this video later on. All right, Joel. I got to do the share. I got to do the invite. Copy the clipboard. Go to Twitter. We send it to Joel. All right, let me find Joel. Okay, Joel, I'm sending it to you right now on Twitter, buddy. Okay, so while we're waiting for Joel, I'll continue a little bit. He'll show up in a little while. But Daniel Jones, I'm going to defend this guy until he's given protection and he has his full complement of weapons for like an entire season. Most of them, people are going to get injured, but you have your key components, your key weapons with you for an entire season. Let's see what he can do. Joel,
I jump on with you.
Man, Joel, how's it going, buddy? Glad to see you're awake. You're a night owl just like me, huh?
Oh, yeah, I'm a night owl. I can't help it. I just got off of a stream too, and I was like, oh, I'm done. And I'm like, I saw you, and I'm like, oh, I got to say hi to my guy. So
yeah, man, it's so good to see you, Joel. It's so good to see you. And I want to do some Giants stuff more consistently now that the season started. And I definitely like to have you on doing with me when you're available. But I definitely want to do some more Giant specific stuff. Let me get rid of this. You may get rid of this Joe knows thing.
It's all right.
Yeah, it's annoying me. So Joel, your thoughts about the game? Go ahead, my guest.
My thoughts about the game. Here's my initial reaction. Okay, after what we put on the field last Sunday, I was disappointed. I was disappointed. I wasn't mad. I wasn't angry. I wasn't upset.
Same here. You're talking about the first game?
Yes. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know how to think because that's just something I didn't expect to see.
You know what I was? I was tired. And I don't mean tired like angry, like, throwing my dog through the window or something like that and, flipping my table over. I was just physically just like tired. It's like I needed to take a nap. I needed to close my eyes. It was exhausting. It was exhausting seeing that game. I know many others were angry, and I get it. I was just tired. I wanted to go to sleep and hide from the game.
Well, that's
give myself
just
a mental break.
We all as content creators, we tried to figure out what we could put our finger on to determine how to fix it. What went wrong. But it was all three phases of football. I mean, the schemes that the Giants came out with was hot garbage.
You know what, Joel, I agree with you 100%, but this is something, and my expectation going into the Denver game was that I thought the Giants would win. And then, not handily, I thought they'd win by like a point. But after the game, I was looking back, and I'm like, you know what? What happened was a fear of mine. Not that they only put up at 7 points. I was expecting more than 7 points when it counted. But going into the Denver game, a fear of mine was that realistically, You've got Saquon coming back for the first game in a year off of an ACL injury.
Yes.
No preseason. Kenny Golladay, who I love this signing. People can complain about the salary all they want. I love the signing. They needed a guy like that. He didn't play in preseason either, so there's really no chemistry being developed there with Daniel Jones. And he's never played in this offense before. It's a new offense for him. And I think people are also expecting a lot from Darius Toney. I'm just telling my opinion. Everyone slow your
No,
roll a
it's
little bit.
about what I've been
He's a
hearing.
rookie. He's a rookie, but also he didn't have time in preseason games at all either. So I'm like, you know what? When you look back at it in hindsight, like that game stunk last week, and it should have been better.
Yeah.
But when you're really expecting a lot from key contributors like Barkley, Golladay, and maybe Toney, but maybe that should have been toned down a little bit in terms of expectations going into that game. So I just, in hindsight, I was like, okay, let's focus on the Washington game. And me, myself, this Washington game, I felt I was disappointed, obviously, because like I said, and I'm not sure if you heard this part in the very beginning of the video, we're past moral victories. Moral victories are done.
I agree.
Yep. But I saw with this game that the Giants should have won this game except for mental errors.
I don't know. To me, it was more than mental errors. I mean, I called this game. I mean, we broke it down play by play. And, we all hollered on Twitter, Garrett needs to open up the playbook. We need to see what this offense can do.
Yeah.
Well, we got a taste of what that offense can do tonight. And we found out that it's the play calling that is holding Daniel Jones back.
Yeah, I think that, but I think it's also, for me, it's been like, hey, he's, he hasn't had, even like last year, you didn't have like you didn't have a threat. Even though Golladay hasn't done all that much yet, he is a threat that needs to be respected.
Yes.
They didn't have that. They had Evan Ingram as their best threat, and Evan Ingram can't be your best threat. You had Golden Tate, you had Sterling Shepard.
Right.
Nothing against Shep, he's been fantastic. But they did open up the playbook today, and they put up 29 points, and it easily should have been more.
Well,
and I'm not saying. Oh, go ahead, Joel.
Well, you're right. I didn't mean to break you off there. We left 10 to 12 points on that field.
Yeah, we did.
Because
which to me is encouraging.
Dude, when's the last time maybe we really put up? We should have put up 40 points.
Yeah.
We should have had 40
easily. And this is not. It wasn't like they went up against the Falcons. Are they playing the Falcons in the next game? I think they are.
Yes, because that's Eli's retirement game. His jersey gets retired.
Gotcha. Awesome. So they it's not like they were going against the Falcons defense. They were going against the Washington defense. And which is a serious defense. It's a I don't know if it's elite, but it's obviously stacked. It's very good. I think there are question marks, in the secondary, and they can be exploited, but it's a good defense.
Well,
and they put up 29 points, and like you said, it probably should have been more like 40, and that encourages me.
Yes,
and I saw it as like they shot themselves in the foot. Not that they came down here and blasted Washington, but they blew opportunities that were really there with mental errors, and that's what cost them. And like I said, I'm not talking about moral victories, but after a team that's had such a hard time putting up points for so long, it was refreshing to see this in the beginning of the season against a real defense. Go ahead,
Now, I'm not going to take away from the offensive line when we had the back-to-back false start. One was on Solder, one was on Thomas, okay?
Yep.
But we got to remember that Gates got hurt, so we got two guys that are starting, so you might as well basically say they're rookies.
Yeah.
All right, and you know what? Daniel Jones had time, and I was worried about that.
Yeah.
And as far as Barkley got some serious holes, okay? I mean, not a lot, but there was we always got to push, and the experts are saying Washington's got the best front seven in the NFL. We heard that all offseason.
Legitimately. Yeah, legitimately.
It's a good one, but when we come out with an offensive line like that, so that's a hope. But this has to be consistent.
Exactly. That's the thing. There can't be any going back. No crap game against Atlanta in 10 days. And whoever they're playing after that, I really don't look too far, but ahead of the schedule. But exactly, Joel. It needs to be consistent. We're past like last year when you knew you had mostly a young offensive line, and they're young this year. But you know what? You have to keep marching forward. They have to continue to progress. And there's no more one step back, a one step forward, one step back. No more of that. They need it. The offensive line, I thought, actually had a good game. And other Giants fans out there might skewer, but here's my reasoning for that. The first half, this is a young crew. The first half, I think, is when they let up 3 sacks, I believe. And it was in the second half when they only let up 1 sack. So it was 4 sacks. That's not good. But there was definite improvement. And you could see Daniel Jones had
Well,
time to throw.
that one play
And what
call
he
I
can
didn't.
do when he's got time to throw, what he can do.
Oh, yeah. I didn't like that
Mm,
one play call where we tried to pass and we went from 3rd and 2 to 3rd and 7 or 3rd and 9, whatever. We had that penalty.
mm-hmm.
And we knew that at the 35, 40-yard line, Washington was going to bring the blitz.
Yeah,
Now,
I know
instead
what
of
play.
taking a 6-yard loss, I would have rather seen a draw play and at least get back to the line of scrimmage, maybe take a
Yeah,
1-yard loss.
yeah. You could see that they were coming with the house. You could see.
Right.
Right.
So I mean, there are mental errors, there are mistakes, there are a few things to clean up.
Mm-hmm.
But if we see this type of play calling, and if
Mm-hmm.
our defense gets straightened around, there's nobody in the NFL that's going to want to face this team.
Yeah, listen, I think there's a lot of potential. The defense, the defense is, listen, it's 2 bad games in a row. I believe in Patrick Graham in that, adjustments
I
will be made. I didn't think this was a good game at all. Obviously, Robinson, I was calling Robinson,
right.
Bradbury, 2 games in a row. This guy's gotten eaten alive. That's very worrisome.
But he had a bad penalty too. He tried to go through the receiver instead of around him. So he tried
Hmm.
to make a play on the ball. He'd been getting burnt all night, and
Yeah,
he went for the ball along with the receiver. But because he went through him, that's why they threw the flag.
yeah,
Had he gone around him a little bit more, I don't think they would have thrown the flag. But there was a lot of flags we should have had because
yeah,
Galladay got held on a couple of plays. It was blatant
yeah.
pass interference. Zimenez was getting held. I mean, I saw him get taken to the ground by a horse collar that wasn't called. So,
Hmm.
but you know what? Like Judge says, you can't let the refs dictate the game. You can't let them make the
Yeah.
key decisions. You got to get up ahead enough. But as far as Graham in that second quarter, just before
Mm-hmm.
it ended, everybody was playing 9 yards deep. And,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not how we were winning. I mean, the first 2
Yeah.
possessions of Washington was 3 and out. What changed?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, did you notice in the first half how much room there was for Washington's offense to operate between where the ball was being
Oh,
snapped and the first down marker? Heineke
yeah,
was just he was just taking with the
that's
defense beautifully, taking what the defense was giving him,
yep,
wide open space, a guy nowhere near him, a receiver nowhere near him, 3 yard, 3 yard, 4 yard pass, receiver or the running back in the flat, turns around, picks up another 4 yards, and it's second
right.
and 2 or third and 2, consistently in the first half.
Yes.
Um, and the second half, that changed a little bit. But I am concerned about the defense. But for me, and what I was getting to, when I first started the video, is that Daniel Jones. For me, it's about Daniel Jones because this is the guy who was drafted to be our
Hmm.
franchise quarterback. I thought he had a really good rookie year, and I was explaining to the audience, before you came on, that this guy was parachuted onto a team that was rebuilding, not with a
Right.
lot of talent. His rookie year, if on a given Sunday, he was lucky his rookie year if he had Shepard or Tate. He wasn't going to get both because they're injuries,
Yeah.
and he was getting one or the other. They alternated. You were going to get Shepard or Tate. Okay, so let's say you get Tate. You get your fifth-round pick, Darius Slayton, who had a very good rookie year. You had a hobbled Saquon Barkley, who
And a
was
hobbled
dealing with it.
Slayton. He
Uh,
got
yeah,
injured.
and then you had Cayden Smith like the last 7 games of the season, who was another
Right.
rookie who they picked off the practice squad from the 49ers. And Jones had developed a very very good rapport with him, and that was what he was working with his rookie year. And still, the guy was still on pace to put up 32 passing touchdowns that season. He had one passing touchdown at least every single game, and he had
Right.
a slew of 3 touchdown games, and even a 4 touchdown game against Washington at the very end. So that was his rookie year. Last year was a just not a good year. He did get better as the season went on, but it was a new offense, COVID, no preseason. Everything was in flux with that offense, and they still lacked like a true number one wide receiver like Galladay. And Barkley was obviously injured, so again, he's kind of like put in a position where Daniel Jones, and this is a point I made at the very beginning of the video. Daniel Jones from day one has had zero room for error, but everyone expects him to make no mistakes. And he
Right.
does make mistakes. Like last week, that fumble was stupid, never should have happened. But a point I made too was that when that fumble occurred and it was completely on him, there was 5 minutes left in the third quarter. They were down 17-7. Plenty of time to come back, right? Plenty of time to come back. But yet, it's 5 minutes left in the third quarter, and yet only put up 7 points.
Right.
It's like
he tries too hard to make a play.
He does, and he needs to. It's good and it's bad.
Yes,
but he's got to know when there are definitely times when with the situational awareness. When he had that fumble, it was like first down. You had plenty of time left. It wasn't like it was the very end of the game, fourth quarter. Like this is your last chance. You've got to get that first down, otherwise it's done. It wasn't like that. That was a mistake that's on him. But he also gets hammered for when the rest of the offense hasn't been available or doing anything in the past to help him. He gets hammered in the process of trying to make things happen because no one else does anything. And so the mistakes become glaring,
Yeah, because it's like how many drop balls did the receivers have last week? You know?
Even today there are quite a few. Galladay had one that was, and he's known for good hands. There were two drops he had where was actually, I think the first one I'm thinking of was on Jones. I think it was like a crossing pattern, and the ball wasn't thrown out here. It was actually thrown more into the body, and the defender was draped all over him, and he just knocked it out. The second one was up here, and Galladay should have had it, and he didn't. He had a healthy amount of targets, Galladay, but I thought it was definitely a better game than the last game, and that I like that a lot. It's like these guys who you were counting on, who didn't have a preseason, are starting to get in the flow, and Barkley too. Had a better game as well.
Well, that big run that he had, that built up a lot of confidence for him because after that big run, you started seeing him cut a little bit more. And Barkley's going to have to get out of his own head right now because he's going to have flashbacks, and that's going to happen when you come off an injury like that. You're like, I don't want to go through that again.
You don't want to test it,
Right.
You don't want to test it.
But once you get hit, because it is a game of football, you're like, oh, okay. Hey, guess what? I can run again. I'm not hurt. Yeah, let's do this.
Exactly.
And Jones has to get some chemistry with Galladay because Jones is not used to a receiver like Galladay, a tall receiver who knows how to go for a 50-50 ball. But every time Jones tries to throw that 50-50 ball, it gets picked off.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
but he needs to. You're right, and that's Galladay's strength. You're right.
But we saw screens tonight. We saw it wasn't a back shoulder fade, but it was close to a back shoulder throw.
I want to see back shoulder fades because I remember Jones's rookie year threw quite a few. A lot of he threw 8 touchdowns. I believe it was 8, maybe it was 6, but he threw quite a few touchdowns to Darius Slayton in Slayton's rookie year. It was the same rookie year as Daniel Jones. And quite a few of Slayton's touchdown receptions that year were back shoulder fades, and they were beautiful. I remember the 2 he scored against the Detroit Lions that year were both back shoulder fade passes. They were beautiful.
Right.
I want to see more of that too.
We saw great play calling. So, I mean, if Jones had failed with that play calling right there and he threw 4 interceptions, okay, I'm a huge Daniel Jones supporter. I have supported him since the draft. Everyone made fun of him, but I liked him.
Yeah.
Okay. And, this is his 3rd year, and you do have to say, okay, I will back you this year. And but this is the last year I can do it. You got to give me some ammo so that I can I want to stay behind you. I want to keep staying behind. I want you to be our future. I do not want to be the Browns. I do not want to be Detroit. I do not, show me something this year, show me something next year, but show me this year so you can get into next year.
And I agree.
Then you can be that stud quarterback that deserves $35-40 million a year, and we can continue to build a team around you.
Right. You
So
know, maybe they should offer Daniel Jones the extension now for like $7 million a year for 10 years, so they can get him on the cheap.
I don't. Well, we're going to be in draft capital purgatory next year, but the following year, I heard it's supposed to jump up to 240 million. So
We're gonna have space, and we have to get through next year with the cap.
yes,
It's 1 year. After that, there's gonna be plenty of
and
space, and there'll be contracts coming off as well, like Logan Ryan and some others.
right, and I get it. I wanted to hog Molly during the draft too.
Hmm.
But we can't say that getting Slater was the best thing for our team because we haven't seen Tony. And if you're going to say he's a bust
Hmm.
in 2 games, you got to give these guys 3 years.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh no. The thing with Tony, and I've
I
been like this from day one. Even if Tony had been around preseason, it was that he's a rookie. He's a
right.
rookie wide receiver, and not everyone's going to step on the field and be OBJ. I think as the season goes along, as long as he stays healthy, I think as the season goes along, we're going to see more and more Tony, and it's going to be exciting. But just I'm not counting on Tony
He's
this year like I am Galladay. You know,
right.
he's the
Because
veteran.
Tony went to Florida as a quarterback. They
Hmm.
transferred him over to wide receiver. His first year he learned the routes. The second year he got an injury, and then the third year he broke out. All right,
Yeah.
so this guy is still raw. Even the
Yep. Very
experts
rough.
in the analysis said he is raw.
Yep.
So everybody expecting so much out of him because they saw what he did his third year at Florida. I mean, that's when you really want the guys to break out in the NFL too.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
Is the third year guys, because I'm going to tell you right now, Zimenez is not doing it for me. Lorenzo
Hmm.
Carter is not doing it for me.
Yeah.
Dexter Lawrence is still a question mark. And now
Hmm.
we paid Leo, and these guys aren't showing up.
I know the guys you expect to show up on defense have been a real concern so far, the first 2 games. And here's the thing with with Leo and Dex is that I think the Giants made a big mistake, and I like the Logan Ryan re-signing in the middle of the year last year.
Right.
But if I thought if that in any way prevented them from spending that money on retaining Dalvin Tomlinson, I think that was a mistake.
Yeah.
Um, and because here's the thing, you know what? Spending $12 million a year, which is what Dalvin got, which is also what Logan Ryan got. So spending $12 million a year on a defensive tackle sounds a lot. Sounds like a lot. I think it's actually a lot if you're running a 4-3 defense. But when you're running a base 3-4 defense, and you can say amoeba defense all you want, most of the
Right.
amoeba part, the shifting happens in the secondary and the linebackers.
Right.
It's a base three-man front. You need to put the resources there. They had last year, that line was excellent with Leo, Dalvin in the middle, who pushed the middle of the pocket very, very well, and he was
Yes.
very good against the run. He was a true nose tackle, and
Yes.
and he had Dex, and they played great together. I think they really should have signed Dalvin. They should have re-signed him and keep that three-man front together. And you put your financial resources into that three-man
I
front, because if it's a 4-3, you put the financial resources on the defensive ends. Okay. And that's what the Giants always did throughout the mid and late 2000s. And you can bring in tackles. You can draft 2 tackles or bring a free agent in like Fred Robinson. You can do that. But on the 3-4, you got to keep, when you've got 3 good guys on the three-man front, you got to keep them together. They proved it last year. They were great. And I think they made a mistake in letting Dalvin go.
Yeah, I agree with you. However, Joe Judge has said he wanted a strong secondary and a strong inside linebacking core. Okay,
Yeah.
so we
Hmm.
got a difference of opinion here between our coach and what our defense has been with
Yeah.
the Giants,
Yeah.
from history.
Yeah. Well, you
I'm
know what?
sorry about
Here's
that.
another thing too. No, it's okay. I think here's another thing too. They also signed a Dory Jackson for 12 million, and I like the signing. It was a surprise signing, and it was
Played
nothing against the
okay.
signing. Yeah, but it's the thing is that you had Logan Ryan and you have a Dory Jackson, and yet Dalvin Tomlinson walked. The thing is that you need to be able to get pressure on the quarterback too,
Yes.
and those 3 guys, with help from blitzes and stuff, they were getting pressure on the quarterback. Leo had, 11 and a half sacks last year. He did not have a premier edge rusher to help him. He's one
Well,
man. This isn't Montez Sweat and Chase Young. This was Leonard Williams by himself, but he had a really good interior player next to him with Dalvin Tomlinson, and it helped him out a lot.
I brought this up in another stream, and I'd like to hear your opinion. Now, listen, this isn't my way of thinking, but this is
Hmm.
just something I'm throwing it out there and see what sticks to the wall.
Yep.
And I kind of like to do that. What do you think about maybe, we got 10 days till our next game. What do you think about maybe getting rid of somebody like Peppers for trading for a
Holy
pass
cow.
rusher?
Holy cow. Joel, it's funny. It's I was thinking, I think this idea popped in my head. Was it yesterday or was it when Gates got injured today in tonight's game? And the thought popped in my mind, very close, very similar thinking. My thought that popped in my mind was that I wouldn't be surprised if they wind up trading Pepper soon for help on the offensive line.
That too.
Hey, listen, if they want to trade, listen, if they're trading Peppers for a defensive tackle, great, but he better be good. He better be like Dalvin. It can't be another, what's his name that they signed as a free agent who's
What,
like their,
Robinson? Isn't that his name?
no,
No.
who's the guy they signed this year? Sheldon
Uh,
or what's his name again? The
Richardson?
big, the big guy. Is it? I forgot who.
I
Is it
forget his
Richardson?
name too. But he hasn't been
Yeah,
here that long,
he's
and we're not calling
he's
his name on
yeah.
the
No, you
stream.
know what? He's a fine run stuffer, but he's never pushed the pocket in his life. And
Right.
Dalvin did. He's not a real true nose tackle, you know. And say, listen, if you can get a true nose tackle for Peppers, I'll go for it. And it sucks because I love Peppers. I wanted
I
to. You know, I love Peppers,
I do too, but this
and they're going to
game
weaken the secondary.
this game started out exactly how I wanted it to start out. Okay,
Yeah.
our defense
Mhm.
was on the field. We got a 3 and out. Our
Yep.
offense come out. Daniel Jones looked great. We go down 7. Boom, we're up
Mhm.
7-0. Our defense comes back out 3 and out again. And I'm going, yes, Virginia, there is a Santa
Yeah.
Claus.
Right.
I'm
Yep.
like that. This game after last Sunday is just coming out exactly. And then I don't know. It's like somebody flipped a switch somewhere
Yeah.
and we
It was.
stopped getting pressure.
Yeah.
And Washington brought in a tight end and a running back for extra blockers because we
Mhm.
were getting home with 4.
Yeah.
Well, you've got to make an adjustment. You might have to bring 5. Hey, you
Mhm.
might, hey, look, okay, we got to keep
Yeah.
6. We can only drop 6, but you got to bring
Yeah.
5 to get to him. Because when you were getting to Heineke, he was inaccurate. He was throwing behind his receivers.
Yeah.
He could not make the play, and then it just went away. And that to me was Graham, and I have to
Yeah.
blame this loss on Graham.
Yeah, no, listen, I mean, I'll blame it on the no, I agree with you. Like the defense is not what we expected it to be. I'm not completely shocked by that either. That I did, this is I'm not expect what happened the past 2 games is not what I was expecting. But I did feel like this defense still needs more star talent.
Oh,
And
yes.
not just like, but not just Bradbury and potentially McKinney in the backfield and potentially Dory Jackson. We need another stud pass rusher, and it can be
Yes.
Ojolari, but the guy just turned 21 years old and he's a rookie. He's got
Well,
growing and learning to do. But
I
my point. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Joe.
no, go ahead because I could see Ojolari as a Carl Banks, but we need a Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah, but he also needs. Yeah, we need another star. I don't think Ojolari is ever, and it's not based off just 2 games. I had this when they drafted him. I think he's going to be a nice player. I think he's going to be more like, I think he's got some human urine in him. But we need a guy, and he was a pass rushing specialist. He was very good at what he did, and
Right.
he need that. Don't get me wrong, but we kind of need more like that Strahan, or like you said, listen, LT. That's like rare. That's one
Right.
from a generation.
Yeah,
But
right.
we,
But I
but
just
we
need we
need,
need a pass
yeah,
rusher.
exactly. We do. We need more talent. We could probably use more talent at the linebacker core too. But the point is that this team still has a ways to go. Not that they can't win. I think they're good enough to win games. I think they're good enough to have a winning season this year. And
Yes.
I was counting on them winning the first 2 games in order to get to 9
Mm,
wins.
me too.
But you know what? The offense, I'll tell you, Joel, this game, I know they lost. Like I said, I saw this game, and I don't think you can't argue that they should have won this game except for stupid mental mistakes. And that type of crap should be cleaned up. And I
Right.
hope it is. That's Joe Judge's thing,
Right.
basics and fundamentals and mental issues. And it's still a young team, but we're I think we are all And I'm a patient fan. We're all past, forgiveness for those type of mistakes.
Right.
This
I
team's,
I mean, because I
go
got
ahead.
faith in the O line. Okay, after what I saw today or
Mhm.
tonight, yesterday, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah,
I got faith in this O line kind of gelling and maybe becoming something. But we
yeah,
do need to get another guy to replace Gates
yeah,
just this year. I
yeah.
want if Gates can come back next year, broken
Mhm.
leg, that
It's
that's
gonna
going to
take
be
time.
tricky.
It's gonna be.
But
It's
they're
not the
going to
same like Dak had the same injury basically last
right.
year, but he's a quarterback. And the thing is, like with Gates, is that
He's got to do
he's going up against 300-pound defensive linemen pushing him on him every play.
the
So
weight training.
he might come back. It might take like 2 years. I don't know. And I love Gates, but it's funny that you brought up Peppers. It's funny that you brought him up because
I
I was thinking I was just walking the dog after the game. My dog was patient. He was dying to go out. I'm like, let's go for a walk and then I'll do the stream.
right.
But I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, you know what? Shit, I wouldn't be surprised if they trade Peppers because this is his contract year anyway. And if they trade
Right.
him for an offensive lineman, or who knows, you could be right. Maybe it would be like a nose tackle, but it better be a nose tackle that makes a difference, not some other just body out there. And
Right.
Not Sheldon Rick, what the hell's that guy's name? It's bugging the
I
crap out of me. But anyway, he better be like a Dalvin
Danny
Tomlinson
Shelton?
type of guy. Danny Shelton, that's it, Danny
Yep.
Shelton. And Danny Shelton's fine at eating up the run. He's not great, but
Yes.
he's pretty good. He's not Dalvin though, and he does not push the pocket. And Dalvin did. So the Giants, the thing is that I felt like even coming into the season, I was excited about the Giants defense, but they still needed more. They need another legitimate pass rusher. No, Ojulari could eventually be that. He can
Right.
be, but they
Oh,
still need another proven guy who can really
and
bring the heat.
and I don't
You
want to
know,
talk about next year's draft, but there's the kid out of
it's a
Oregon.
defensive draft. Yeah, I
But
don't think they'll
now
be drafting that high to get him,
with the
and I'm not
Chicago
trading up.
Bears, with the
Hmm.
Chicago Bears pick, there's a kid in Florida State,
Hmm.
Jackson, Johnson. Oh, 6'5", 260. He was the ACC Defensive Player of the week 1 in
What
college
team?
football.
What team? Do
Florida
you know what team?
State.
Oh, he's on Florida State. Okay.
He's on Florida State. This kid is a monster.
Yeah. All right.
This
Hey,
kid could
listen.
be top 10.
Oh, that's fine with me. I'm hoping the
I,
Giants are drafting like 20th or 21st, and then maybe the Bears are like the Bears picks in the top five, and we don't need a quarterback because I don't like this quarterback class to be honest with you.
I don't
And
either.
yeah, I don't. I don't like Sam Howell had a horrible first game 2 weeks ago, and if in my opinion, if you're gonna be a top legitimate franchise quarterback, you don't have a game like he had with like 3 interceptions. You just don't do that. Um,
Right.
and then maybe Rattler, but you know Daniel Jones,
You
Daniel
know,
Jones.
look,
Listen,
if
I'm
even
with you, Joel. Just by the way, I want you to know I'm with you on Mount Daniel Jones with
I
the flag, like with the flag planted. I've got the mounted machine gun, ready to go.
I
I'm up there with you, my friend.
even if Daniel Jones is our quarterback next year and then we look
Hmm.
at one the following year,
Hmm.
okay? You're still going to be able to get the guys that we need. You're going to get the stability of the offensive line. So the next
Yeah.
guy that comes in is going to be set up more like Eli instead of Phil Simms.
Yes, exactly. When Eli came in, he was parachuted into a team that was ready to win. His rookie year, when Kurt Warner was there, the team was
Right.
five. Kurt Warner started the season. The team was 5-4.
Yep.
They decided to make the switch to Eli because they wanted to give him, get him the experience. And I thought even at the time it was the right decision. And they only won one more game the rest of the season. But the following year, in 2005, Eli had a good year. The team went 11-5, but that was a team that was ready to win. This
Yes.
team was not ready to win when Daniel came on at all. Offense, defense, it was all torn apart. They were just barely starting to accumulate some younger talent, some good, decent young talent with draft picks. And so it was rebuild that had just started with Daniel Jones.
Well,
And the thing, oh, go ahead, Joel.
just real quick, I want to say that this could be when Bill Parcells told Sims, I don't care if you throw 5 interceptions. I want you to throw the ball deep a lot. And guess
Yeah,
what Daniel Jones did? He come out this game and he threw the ball deep a lot.
he's a good deep ball thrower. He is good. And a lot of people, around the league, I don't think realize that but he's actually a very good deep ball thrower, and that is the guy wants to do that. He wants
Yes.
to throw the ball. He's an aggressive quarterback. Let him friggin' do that. I didn't like when they switched Eli. I remember I had nightmares when they fired
Oh,
Kevin Gilbride
oh,
and they
yeah,
were going with that. And this was a Jerry Reese decree. Coughlin
yeah,
didn't want to do this. And instead
yeah.
of focusing on improving the offensive line that had aged, they brought in McAdoo and they
Yes.
had this short, dinky offense, like this, dink dunk offense. That's not Eli. It wasn't. Eli was an aggressive quarterback. Give the man the protection and the weapons and let him be aggressive. And that's what I want to see with Daniel Jones. I don't want to be, I'm glad we have a quarterback you don't have to push to throw hey, you have to
Right,
force him to throw the ball downfield. I like that you have to rein him in. I like
right.
that. Let this man be who he is. This is the quarterback he is. He's aggressive. He likes to throw the ball downfield. Let him. This isn't Alex Smith looking to throw like a 3 yard dink, and let the receiver take the ball, run with the ball. This is a guy who's looking to attack. Let the man attack, but you have to give him the protection. You have to give him the weapons. I think the weapons are coming on board. And
Yes.
with the offensive line today, like you said, this game, they had actually a surprisingly effective game, and they need to be consistent. We need to see that, and they really can't suffer any more injuries on that offensive line. Gates was a huge hit, um,
Right.
but you know what? We saw what Daniel Jones can do when he's got protection. He looks like a legitimate quarterback. I'm not saying he's going to eventually be a top five, but he looks like a legitimate
He,
franchise quarterback when you don't have a defense in his grill every single play.
yeah, he's good, and that's all we really want is an above average quarterback
Mhm.
that can take us on a game-winning drive and keep us in the game to get to that point.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong either. I
And
don't want to downplay how good I think Daniel Jones can actually be. I think he can actually be. I don't know if he'd ever be like, an elite top five quarterback consistently, but I think he
right,
can be a top 10. I strongly believe he can be a
I do
top
too.
10 quarterback consistently if he's given not even great, but he doesn't need the Dallas Cowboys, offensive line in their prime like 3 years ago when they were fantastic and, the Cowboys offensive line was filled with like pro bowlers. I'm not saying it has to be that good, but at least has to be an average line that can give this guy protection pretty consistently and not get blown up like they were the past for a long time for the past like 5, 6, 7 years that those O lines were getting blown up. He needs decent protection
Yes.
and he needs he also needs a running game too. But I think what you saw today is the ability this guy had and man, he's still making it happen with his legs too. Again, he's the leading rusher for this team for the second week in a row, and it can't continue to be that way because
Right.
that just means that the rest of your running game's not doing well.
Well,
So
them ends were just
Barkley
crashing
didn't have a
in.
horrible game. What's that?
Oh, then Washington ends were just crashing down. They had no they weren't
Yeah,
staying home at all. And that's why that RPO was just so phenomenal is because
yeah,
everybody was trying to make a play in the
RPO,
backfield. Yeah. And
RPO, yeah.
let's bring up the last 2 minutes of the game because could you imagine on third down, Jones throws a 50-50 ball to Galladay because that's what all the fans wanted, and that
Yep.
defensive back makes a play, and
What
then
what
we
did you
turn the ball over.
Yeah. Well,
And
what were you thinking, Joel, with when we had the ball on the Giants' last drive, we wound up kicking the football. What did you think the Giants should have done on that drive? They ran the ball the first two times with Barkley up the middle, and they got something like 6 yards, I think, in total. So they
y
wound up making an easier field goal attempt for Gano. Did you think they should do that? I thought, and that's probably the right thing to do. I was very concerned about the defense. I saw that if they just kept running the ball and they didn't get the first down, and they kicked the field goal, that there was going to be 2 minutes left for Washington, and that was going to give them plenty of time because they were going to go. Obviously, if Washington got the ball back, they weren't going to kick it on fourth down. It was going to be four down territory the whole time for Washington with 2 minutes left. I didn't trust the defense to stop the Washington offense to prevent them from
right,
getting into field goal position. I was hoping they were actually going to throw the ball, and I know we would all be if that's going on.
right.
We're thinking like if that's Eli, who's a veteran and knows what he's doing, he's gonna just throw it away if it's not there. But with Daniel Jones, the concern
Yeah.
is we're all gonna be crapping our pants. Holy shit! Is he gonna be too aggressive? Is he gonna get sacked and fumbled? Is that type of crap gonna happen again? But I thought they actually should have taken some shots at the end zone where only a receiver can get it. If it's not there, throw it away. Galladay 50-50 in the corner. If someone's wide open, if there's busted play, maybe get lucky. If it's not
Right.
there, maybe Jones runs it. I didn't think they should have just run the ball up the middle like they did. And like I said, my main concern was that they were going to leave too much time on the board, which wound up being the case.
I like the first two plays of running the ball, and at first I wanted them to just run the ball 3 times, okay, kick
Hmm.
the field goal, take
Okay, yeah,
guaranteed points. I don't
yeah,
wanna see Jones try to make something happen in the end zone and it gets batted
hmm,
around. I mean, let's look at the see what happened to Oakland on Monday night, or
hmm,
Las Vegas Raiders.
yeah. I
That
still call
ball
them
there.
Oakland too.
Yeah, I can't help it. It's
Oakland and the Redskins. It's
right.
hard for me to move away, yeah,
It
from that.
is. But, the Vegas Raiders, okay, look what happened there in the end zone. They're at the 2-yard line, fluke play. Could you if that
Yeah.
happened to DJ, he'd be getting killed right now.
Oh, I
And
know,
everybody
I
would
know.
be firing at Judge going, "What are you doing? That you run the
I
ball
know.
3 times."
Yeah.
It's just like Marshawn Lynch, instead of running beast mode for Seattle, they tried to
Oh
throw it
my
in the end
God,
zone. Okay,
that was inexcusable.
yeah, but you know what?
Mhm.
That's when you should run the ball, and now you all want him to pass the ball?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
you got guaranteed points on the board. You take your
right.
guaranteed points. It's like
Yeah,
one of the guys in the
yeah,
stream on our second drive said we should go for it on 4th down and goal. And I'm like, no, kick the field goal. Give us 10.
yeah,
Take
yeah.
your
I
points.
agree. Take your points,
But
especially.
if
Yeah.
if Jones throws a pick there, that is a nightmare. But the 3rd
Mhm.
play of that drive, instead I would have rather seen a delayed handoff or a wide receiver screen, depending on how the defense was playing. A safe
Yeah,
play, something that's not gonna lose you a ton of yards, but if you can get the ball into Shepard's hands or Galladay's hands on a wide receiver screen, let them make a play,
yeah,
stay in bounds.
yep,
I would have rather seen something like that than a slant to Shepard over the middle, because we all
yep.
know how a bouncing ball can just go anywhere.
Yeah, no, you're right, Joel. That's a great point. And even on that play anyway, you know what? It was I was almost like, yeah, maybe he shouldn't even thrown it. I'm throwing it because I was an incompletion, but the defender was draped all over Sterling Shepard. There was no way he was getting the first down. He was like a yard in front of the first down marker. So yeah, that did worry me. But I believe me, I hear you. It was probably the right thing. I actually wanted him to be a little more aggressive there and actually, look for the end zone. Um, those first 2 plays, and if it's not there, just
Oh,
throw it away, or even maybe have like a Jones
yeah,
design run or something like that.
yeah,
But I hear you, man. You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. You're not wrong at all.
yeah.
But
But I
but I
get
was
it,
worried
because
about half.
the concern for the defense was a real worry. It
Yeah.
was the problem that cost us the game. Okay,
Yep.
now I've seen people saying it was Daniel Jones' fault, and I'm still trying to figure out how it was his fault.
If anyone's saying that, that's
I don't
insane.
understand it, but you know what? There's DJ haters out there that just
Yeah.
do not like the guy because the experts
Mhm.
did not like the guy, and the experts still do
Exactly.
not like the guy. So
Hmm.
it is what it is. Okay, you're gonna
Yeah.
have us fans
Yeah.
of him. You're gonna hate him, and
Hmm.
however, he's your quarterback this year. So if you
Yeah.
want to win, go into the playoffs, you got to root for the kid.
Yeah. Hey, listen. It's ultimately he's the one who has to prove them wrong. But I just want to see him. I want to see him being given the weapons and the protection to try to prove everyone wrong. And
Right.
hopefully he's getting it now. It looks like Barkley had a better
Eh,
game this game than he did last game. Galladay had a better game this game than he did last game. And I think it counts. And these guys have to stay healthy. And the O line, please, if they can just continue to play like they did tonight, without 4 sacks,
mhm.
but still, you know what? It was positive, Joel. It was
Yes.
positive. Keep it going
Yes, it was.
forward, and that's why with this game, I felt like okay, they should have won this game except for the mental issues. And you know what? The offense showed up. Daniel Jones, you actually gave him protection. He showed you what he can do. And I'm like, you know what? I feel so much better about this game than the last game. And And listen, this wasn't a crappy team they won against. They won against, a very good team in Washington. And
Right.
like I said, I think they should have won. And I'm not talking moral victories. I'm not.
No.
But after everything with the offense for so long and the uncertainty with Jones, that I'm like, this is what I want to see. If the Giants don't have a great year, and a lot of it's because the defense collapses and they don't perform like we thought, if Daniel Jones can prove himself to be the franchise quarterback, this year because he was given some better protection and he's got weapons and he's shown what he can do. That's my main concern this year, and I loved seeing this game with him. I absolutely loved it.
This was a
So
huge. What the Giants might have lost, but as far as a confidence builder, this game means a lot to Jones.
yeah,
And maybe it's a good thing they got punched in the mouth for a second week, because now they're really got to come down to reality. And it's like, okay, look,
yeah,
the offense was there, guys. You know,
hmm yeah.
this loss is on
You,
us, and
you
that
can't just blame all the offense all the time now.
right, exactly.
Hmm
So I mean, we saw something where all three phases were a mess, and now it's like special teams didn't play bad. Special
No,
teams
not at
actually
all.
was decent,
Yeah,
made
yeah, no, it
tackles,
was
didn't give up
right.
a big play. The offense, they come out, they did their thing. They went down each drive, they put points on the board. They gave our defense a rest. But
Yeah,
what was nice is
yeah,
we weren't playing, 3 plays for 10 yards. I mean, it
hmm
was
yes,
offense
yeah,
that shows the capability to be explosive. Now we
right.
lost. I'm upset that we lost,
Yeah,
but I understand losing and winning. That's why
hmm
two teams play, one wins, one loses.
right.
As far as the
Yeah,
refs go, you can blame the refs if you want. I'm not going to blame the refs, because the refs
no,
seem to get involved in every game. But like,
hmm
people say, you get the score high enough where you ain't got to worry about the refs. You get a
right.
10-point lead, get a 12-point
And
lead.
and the Giants were in position to put up like a 10-point lead, at various times. And also with the
Yeah.
refs, I know what you're talking about, Joel, but there were some calls that like
Hey,
the Redskins, that Washington didn't get either. That, I think there were some pass interference calls there that Washington could have gotten in their favor that they didn't. So I know what you're
right.
saying, but I saw it as kind of like, blown calls going both
It's
ways.
Well, you remember when we had those scab refs? I mean, we were all praying and hoping and wishing that the regular refs would return. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's why I say I'm not going to get mad at the refs. You know what? They went out there, they made the call. If
Yeah.
Dexter Lawrence, look, if Dexter, I was taught from an early age, you play through, even if you're offsides, you play through the play.
Yeah.
And I
hmm
think why they called that offsides is because all he did is he hopped and went right straight down. He moved
Yeah.
right when that ball did. If he would have
Yeah.
come in and blown up that play, he would have blocked that kick, and they probably wouldn't have called him offsides. But he stopped. He didn't finish through the play.
Yeah. You know
So
what? Yeah, I'm not sure, but I mean, the thing is that, listen, like, talk about mental issues, like, that was the glaring one right there. And that was not a chip shot. That was like a 47-yard field
yeah,
goal. And of course, there was like a 5-yard penalty, so it wound up being easier at 42. But I knew, I was like, yeah, this is a 47-yarder. This is not a chip shot.
man,
And
it
like,
was
that was
Scott
the last
Norwood all
mental
over
mistake.
again.
Yeah, I know. That was the last mental mistake, and that was the one that really cost them the game. But you look at the stats. I've just got the ESPN page up here. Daniel Jones, 22 for 32, 249 passing yards, which is not, overwhelming, but it's certainly not bad at all. 7.8 yards per reception, one passing touchdown. He had a rating of 102.2. And Daniel Jones put up on 9 carries. He put up 95 rushing yards. So
Right.
he put up almost 350 yards total this game.
Mm-hmm.
Sterling Shepard had 94 yards receiving. Slayton had 54 yards. Should have been more.
100.
Galladay had 8 targets and only 3 receptions. That's got to improve. And I'll tell you, Joel, I'm looking for like areas for improvement, and that is like, man, if,
Mm-hmm.
if that was like, say, 5 or 6 receptions out of 8 targets, you're talking about a different game here. And there's like room. That's like legitimate room for improvement there.
Right.
And
But
like,
Rudolph seemed to step up too in the second half, but the first half his performance wasn't that good.
yeah, but here's another guy who, he missed the whole entire preseason with his foot injury. And hey, and there was a Cayden Smith sighting. It was good to see because I think
Dude, I
all
love
Giants fans,
that.
we all love Caden Smith. It was good to see him being involved in the passing game. Uh, this is a guy who is one of those players. It seems like whenever you bring in new coaches, they always seem to underappreciate someone who like had a good season because he wasn't an established player.
Right.
Who's left over on the team. And Caden Smith is that guy that you saw him. Daniel Jones's rookie year, it was Caden Smith's rookie year too, and they had a really good connection. As a matter of
Yes.
fact, against Washington, the second game that year, Caden Smith I think had 2 touchdowns, I think, including the game winner in overtime, and that actually, the Giants won that game, but they lost it on Chase Young. But Daniel Jones and Caden Smith had a very good connection, and
Well,
it was good to see Caden Smith out there.
well, King Maru, we're no way, shape, or form saying after one game that Daniel Jones is the future. But what we're saying is
I
if he shows that kind of potential the rest of this season,
Yeah,
then we're going to have a firm belief whether he's the future or not. But it was great to see
exactly.
a game that we all, most of us believed was his potential. Not turn the ball
Absolutely. Yeah.
over, make the deep throw, be
Hmm.
accurate with it, make good decisions. We
Right.
saw that in his first game, and we haven't seen that since. And we've been wondering
Right.
where that went.
Right.
And everybody jumping on Garrett's play call, and Garrett finally opened up the playbook and says, "All right, son, you're going to throw the ball this game," and he
Yeah.
throw the ball. He did,
And he did. And he did. And you know what? A game like this is like, hey, you know what? If he had, a stupid fumble this game, for me, it's like it. I mean, listen, you can't. Daniel Jones, you're not allowed to mistakes anyway. But
right?
it's like a game like this. It's like it shows that a game like this, you could make a mistake, but you've been scoring points, you've been driving down the field. You can,
Yes,
you can actually make up for that
good
mistake. There have been
point.
so many games in Daniel Jones's career where they are not putting up enough points you cannot make a mistake. And so, but listen, the defense has got to, it's got to start showing up. But I'm just encouraged by the offense. I think they're going to get, as long as they stay healthy, and it's a big
Yes,
ask, that, he's getting his protection. And like you said, Joel, you know, we're going to see if the guy can have some legitimate, decent, not Hall of Fame protection, decent offensive line protection in the passing game. And if his weapons stay healthy, this guy's gonna have a real chance to prove himself. That's all I'm
yes,
asking. That's
yes,
all. I do
yes.
believe in him. I do believe that if you give him what you should give any quarterback, that he will be a legitimate NFL quarterback. And I think he could eventually be top 10 if you're giving
Yeah.
him what he's supposed to have. But you know what? As long as he's being given what he needs to have the chance to succeed, that's all I can ask for. That's all I can
Well,
ask for. And
well,
hopefully this
here's
continues.
the perfect example of this. Is do you think the Jets would like to have Sam Darnold back?
Hey,
Hey,
Zach Wilson. I thought Zach Wilson actually had a pretty decent game.
he did, but look what Darnold did with a decent running back, a decent offensive line, and some weapons.
Yep. Someone was chiming in here. King
Uh,
Maru _14 saying, you all need to move on from Daniel Jones.
yeah,
Nope. This is Mount Daniel Jones. This
yeah.
is Mount
It
Daniel
said
Jones.
if he continues to show and put up 28, 29, 30, 35 points a game, and he throws an interception on a 50-yard pass, I'm not going to get mad at a 50-yard pass interception.
Yeah, yeah, it depends on the game. It depends on the situation too, but overall, really good game here, for Jones, and again, the guy really he showed a lot, and I'm just looking at some of the other stats here. Yeah, I guess that's pretty
What
much
was
it.
our pass blocking win rate? Just curious if they have that one
Oh,
up. PFR is the
nah,
one to.
you know what? I don't know, but I'll wait for like Talking Giants to discuss that.
Okay. All
That's like
right.
their specialty. I'm looking forward to their
You
video,
know,
especially their online report coming out this week on this week's game. It's gonna be interesting to see. But hey,
yes.
listen, what's his name? Billy Price? Is that his name? I know the last name is Price, the guy they just
Yes.
traded for. From he had a good game. He had a
You know
good
what?
game. He played well.
He had some high snaps that were worrisome. And
Hmm.
thank God Daniel Jones is 6'5".
Yeah,
Because I
right.
mean
Some long
he
arms.
had to reach up there to grab a couple of them.
Yeah,
However, I'm not going to get mad at him for an eligible man downfield on that penalty because he's looking to make contact. That's all he was doing. He
Yeah,
just
that
wanted
was a
to hit somebody.
confusing. Even the commentators were like questioning that call. They're like, well, but on this type of play, and I forgot what it was. They're like, in this type of
It
play,
was a pass.
that's what the offensive line are supposed. Yeah, they're supposed to be going down looking to make a block. So but yeah, listen, Ojulari is on pace for 17 sacks this year.
Yes, he is. He got another one. I mean, he
He
come around the
did.
corner, and I'm thinking,
He
wow,
did.
man, maybe we got something this game. I mean, I was hyped for the defense. Everyone told me the
Yeah,
defense is not going to come back the way it did last week. Whenever they have a bad game, they come back and play great. And
yeah.
and
What?
I
I
expected
think
it.
I think Graham's gonna make some adjustments. But like I said, Dalvin
Boy, I
Tomlinson
hope
missing.
so.
Yeah, missing Dalvin, I think is going to hurt them, but I think they'll make some adjustments. But I want to see this offensive line click. For me, that's the most important thing for me this
Yes,
season. I want to see Jones. I want to see Barkley get better as the season goes along. I want to see Galladay live up to that contract. I want to see Tony, get included more and develop over this
yes,
season. Shep is having a great monster season. He had 95 yards, Shepard, this
yes,
game. And what was it last week? I think he had like 114 yards or 104 yards, I think. So he's
something
got like
like
200.
that.
Yeah, Shep is just
Yeah.
doing fantastic. So it's great to see. Um, but so I guess that's it. I guess we'll wrap it up here, Joel. I'm so
Okay.
glad. I'm so glad you showed up, man. I'm so glad you showed up. Was there
Had
anything
to
else you wanted to talk about, though? I mean, I don't need to go, but
No,
well, we pretty much.
I just try to support everybody. I try to jump in everybody's channels. I don't always get to make
Thanks,
it.
man.
It's like,
Oh,
well,
of course.
sometimes it's like I see you live and it's like, oh man, I'm outside doing something, or
Yeah, yeah.
you
No, I hear
know,
you, man. But you and I, let's definitely do some more Giant stuff. I'm gonna
oh,
do more Giant
love
stuff here
to.
on the channel, and I'll definitely have you on a bunch too. And I'm gonna try to hop on just to do some short videos here and there, like updates. Like Entertainer does too, and some of the other
Okay.
guys will come on and just do like a 5 minute update, like breaking news stuff like that. I'm gonna try to do more stuff like that, and but I also want to have some more planned Giants. Like this was unplanned, but I was like, I knew I wanted to do this, and originally I was gonna do it like Tuesday night, and but I kept pushing it off and pushing it off, and I'm glad I waited. And
Right.
to do it now because I definitely feel better after this game. And again, viewers, I'm not talking moral victories here.
I'm
We're
not
past
either.
that, but you know what? I was just it was good to see Daniel Jones in the offense look competent and look like a threat, and
Listen,
against a legitimate defense.
it was nice to be in the lead, near the lead. We weren't getting blown out. We actually could answer if they scored. It was back and forth. I mean, if you're not a fan of a team, you're just a football fan. This was a game that you were going to sit down and watch and enjoy, regardless of the records. I mean, it was
Yep.
good play from both sides. It was a little sloppy at some times, but I mean, it's the second week of football. You're going to get the sloppy with the good. You're going to get the crisp, and then you're going to get the wilty.
Hmm.
So it's all part of the season. What really is going to come down to for me on this team this year is just probably the next 3 games, because we got
Yeah.
the Falcons, we got the Saints, and then we got the Cowboys.
Hmm.
Well, if
Yeah.
we go
Yeah.
against those teams and we're putting up 30 points and the
Hmm.
defense is still laying an egg,
Yeah.
I'm probably going to be more hurt than I am right now. But I'm not expecting the defense to play this bad the rest of the
You know
season.
what? Let's win the next 2 games in a row. I'm not expecting a win against Dallas in either games this year, to be honest, because I think Dallas's offense is just too scary. It's too real, and I think Dallas's defense is actually going to be pretty decent this year. I just don't think the Giants are there yet to match up with that type of firepower. I'm okay with that. Right now, I want to beat the Falcons. They're a better team than the Falcons, and I do think they're
Right.
a better team than the Saints. I don't buy that. I know they blew Green Bay
I
out last
I
week.
get it.
That was Green Bay playing like crap. I mean, I think Jameis threw for like 183 yards, and I'm not buying the Saints right now. To be honest, let's win those 2 games. Go into the Dallas game 2-2, and let's take it from there. So,
Right. I agree. But thank you for having
it,
me on, Joe. I
no,
appreciate
thanks for
it.
chiming in, man.
You
I
know,
was so cool to see your. I'll tell you, I'm still getting kind of used to doing these live shows. I usually do the recorded shows like I did in the summer with my draft reviews, and
right.
I always forget to check the comment. And I happen to see my comments were over here like 1 or 2, and I was like, oh, let me check the comments. I saw that was you. I'm like, hey, if you want to
Hey,
come on in, come on in. So
I
it's been great to
appreciate it.
do, man. It's been
I,
great.
I
So
love
all
talking
right,
Giants
Joel.
football.
Oh man, I can do it all day, any day. Let me tell you.
Oh,
But
me
hopefully
too.
the next time we're talking, it'll be soon, and maybe before
That'd
the
be
next game. But if
right.
not, soon after that, and hopefully we'll be talking about a win.
Oh, beautiful. All
All
right,
right,
boss.
man.
I'm gonna let you close it
Joel.
out. Thank you
All right,
again.
buddy. Take care. Thanks for coming on. Okay, everyone, I am going to close it out. And I want to say King Maru _14. Thank you for chatting over here. I really appreciate it. And listen, if you're a Giants fan, I'm hoping I'm making you feel a little better. If you are a Giants fan and you're unhappy, I hear you. I understand. I get you. I'm just trying to put out my perspective, which I feel is a little more lighthearted, and that's all. But if you're a Giants fan and you're really disappointed and you're angry, fly Eagles fly. I hear you. Hey, King Maru, one thing you have to give me credit for. I thought the Eagles should stick with Jalen Hurts in the offseason in terms of giving him a full year this year to be their starting quarterback, and they did it. And he had a great first game, and he looked like the real deal. Now, if he's going to do it over the course of the entire season, we'll see. But I thought the Eagles made the right decision in doing that. And I'll tell you what, the Eagles, can you imagine if your team, if Jalen Hurts is the real deal, like he is the franchise quarterback, he has a really good year this year, and all those first round picks you have next year, you don't have to spend them on another quarterback. You can focus those picks on defense or offensive line or weapons. Can you imagine if you don't have to spend all those picks? Oh my God, on a quarterback, you guys are in great shape. You're in great shape. Devonta Smith, I love Devonta Smith. He traded up over us and he got him. I love that guy. I was hoping he was going to fall to us. Great move. And he got Kenneth Gainwell. Gainwell was another guy I was hoping the Giants were going to draft. I love that guy. My opinion is that if Miles Sanders goes down, if Miles Sanders, hey, I hope so, King. I hope so. We better beat the Falcons. But the Eagles, if Miles Sanders goes down, just given his, I'm not trying to take a dig at him, just given his track record of injury, I think Kenneth Gainwell can be your RB1 for a good period of time. I don't think Gainwell will be an RB1 like Miles Sanders is over the course of the season, but I think he could do it for like 4, 5, 6 games and he wouldn't lose too much. I think Kenneth Gainwell is much more than a third down back, and I think you saw that in game one. And I love that guy. By the way, I'm in like 5 fantasy leagues. I took Gainwell as many leagues as I could near the end of the draft because I believed in that guy. And unfortunately, he's proven me correct because unfortunately he's on the Eagles and he's looking great. So, King Maru, your Eagles are looking good, man. You're looking really good, and I'm rooting for Jalen Hurts. I think he's a great guy, and I'm glad they gave him. I'm glad they gave him another shot. I'm glad they gave him a shot. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up over here. I just got to go through the bells and whistles. Oh, don't forget to hit that like, subscribe button. Really appreciate it. Give us that 5-star Apple review if you're listening to on Apple. We have a new website, toiletstotitles.com. It launched August 1st. Has all of our videos, our articles, tons and tons of fantasy football advice and content. Check it out. It's a lot of fun. Where you can find the show, Apple Podcast, YouTube, Podbean, Spotify, and Facebook, where we have two pages, Toilets to Titles, and the other page is When a Family Breaks, which is our page that's dedicated to the trading of sports memorabilia. And on Patreon, go to patreon.com/toilets to titles to find out how you can further support the show. And real quick, let me get this off over here. Down here, the very bottom are the Twitter handles for me and the rest of my colleagues here at Toilets to Titles. Follow them; they're all a great bunch of guys. Here's our schedule for the in-season schedule that we have for the shows that we have right now at Toilets to Titles. Monday night is Waiver Wire. That's for Patreon members only. Tuesday at 8 p.m. is Toilets to Titles, our flagship program. Wednesday at 9 p.m. is Joe Knows. That's my show, one of my shows, which is an NFL review of the previous week's games and a preview of the upcoming games. Also following that, Wednesday night at 10 p.m. is Dollars to Deuces, which is our weekly betting advice. Thursday at 8 p.m. we have a dash of DFS. And Saturday we've got Saturday at 7:30 p.m. It's Down Under Dynasty. It's our Down Under guys. We have a few guys, a handful of team members down in Australia who do a few shows. 7:30 Saturday night. That's those guys. And then Sunday, 8 a.m. is Cup of Joe with me, where I do a recap of the NCAA games, as well as another preview, like an abbreviated preview of the upcoming Sunday and Monday night NFL games. And then following that, Sunday at 10 a.m. is the Blitz, which is with Mike and Alex. And that is where they give start, sit advice. It's going to eventually be a call-in show. But right now, you can go in the show, the Blitz, on Sundays, and you can send in comments. If you have any questions about start, sit, and Mike and Alex are both very, very good with this, and they're very smart, good analysts, and they provide good analysis. You can send in a comment in the chat, and they will address it. And I guess that's pretty much it. And just a reminder, don't forget to hit that like button. It helps us out a lot. And, share the show far and wide. We are Tallest Titles. We are proud, and we love pumping out content for you guys on both the NFL side and fantasy. Anyway, it's been a long night. It's been a good night overall. Giants fans, rest easily. I'm very encouraged by this game with what we saw with the offense. And Eagles fans, congratulations with Jalen Hurts. He had a great first game, and I think he looks like the real deal. Anyway, I'll see you guys soon. Take care.